Silence was, the weapon the Nazis trusted most. Silence, fear, routine. At Sobibor, a death camp designed to erase human beings without witnesses, that silence was shattered in one violent afternoon. Not by armies, not by tanks, but by prisoners who decided that dying quietly was no longer an option. What happened at Sobibor wasn't just an escape. It was a rebellion that punched a hole straight through the Nazi system of extermination during World War II. Sobibor was built to kill, not to hold prisoners. Sobibor wasn't a concentration camp. It was something far worse. It was a pure killing centre, constructed in occupied Poland in 1942 as part of Operation Reinhard, the Nazi plan to murder millions of Jews as efficiently and invisibly as possible. Trains arrived packed with men, women and children. Almost all were dead within hours. There were no barracks full of long-term inmates, no factories, no illusion of survival. Sobibor existed for one reason only: gas chambers. A small group of prisoners were temporarily spared, not to live, but to work. They sorted belongings, cleaned evidence, repaired shoes, cut hair. Every task fed the machine that killed their own people. And, well, everyone knew the truth. Eventually, every worker would be murdered too. The camp was designed to prevent hope. High fences, minefields, guards trained to kill without hesitation. Escape was supposed to be impossible. That assumption would prove fatal. Despair hardened into something dangerous. For months, prisoners whispered about escape. Most plans collapsed before they began. No weapons, no maps, no outside help. Attempts meant torture and public executions. Fear crushed courage again and again. Then something changed. In late 1943, new prisoners arrived. Among them were soldiers captured from the Eastern Front, men who understood discipline, planning and violence. They saw Sobibor not as a mystery, but as a system. And you know, systems have weaknesses. The prisoners began to organize in secret. They understood one brutal truth: a few individuals slipping away would never work. The camp would hunt them down. If Sobibor was to be defeated, it had to be broken in one blow. This wouldn't be an escape. It would be an uprising. The plan was daring and terrifyingly simple. Lure key guards into workshops one by one. Kill them silently. Take their weapons. Cut communication lines. Then trigger a mass escape before the camp could recover. No speeches, no heroics, just speed and surprise. The prisoners knew the risks. If the plan failed, everyone would die. If it succeeded, many would still be shot, blown apart by mines or hunted down later. But hope had returned, and hope is dangerous to tyrants. On October 14th, 1943, the plan went into motion. When Sobibor exploded into chaos, everything changed. One guard entered a tailor shop. He never walked out. Another stepped into a shoemaker's room, and then, well, silence followed. Axes, knives, bare hands, whatever they could find. The prisoners struck with this controlled fury. Within an hour, several guards lay dead. Then everything unravelled. A body was discovered too early. Gunfire erupted, alarms screamed, and prisoners ran. Hundreds surged toward the fences under machine-gun fire. Some fell instantly. Others hit mines and just vanished in smoke and blood. But many made it through. For the first time, Sobibor lost control. Escaping the camp was only the beginning. The surrounding forests were hostile and German patrols flooded the area. Local collaborators hunted escapees for rewards. Starvation and exposure claimed more lives. Of the roughly 300 prisoners who broke free, only around 50 survived the war. That number may sound small. It wasn't. Those survivors told the world what Sobibor was. They testified. They shattered Nazi denials. They ensured Sobibor would not vanish into silence, like so many other killing sites. The escape forced the Nazis to act fast. Sobibor was shut down. The camp was dismantled. Trees were planted to hide the crime. The ground was smoothed as if nothing had ever happened. But history remembered. Sobibor proved something uncomfortable and powerful. Even inside the most brutal killing machine of World War II, resistance was possible. Not easy, not clean, but real. This wasn't rebellion driven by victory. It was driven by dignity. The prisoners knew most wouldn't survive. They acted anyway. They refused to let the Nazis decide how their story would end. Sobibor stands as one of the most successful revolts inside a Nazi death camp. Not because of numbers, but because it struck at the heart of the system. It exposed the lie of total control. And it reminds us that history isn't only shaped by generals and governments. Sometimes it's shaped by people with nothing left to lose. Today, Sobibor is a memorial. Quiet, still. The ground holds ashes, bones, and unanswered screams. But it also holds defiance. For this channel, The Scars of a Global Stormfronts, Sobibor isn't just a chapter in World War II history. It's a warning, a lesson, a scar that proves oppression is never as absolute as it appears. The Nazis built Sobibor to erase people without a trace. Instead, Sobibor erased their illusion of invincibility. If this story hit you, if it made you think differently about resistance, survival, and human courage under absolute darkness, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Share this video so these stories keep living. History only stays buried when we stop telling it.